Bases dropped on Soccer's morning show. Sorry for 906. I was looking at other things, and I admit that, it being a Monday and a really crappy weather Monday, we're kind of looking at other things. But, John, hear you there. It's a Reaction Monday here at SDH. We're going to be joined by some new friends starting in short order. And we're going to be joined by some folks who you're going to be hearing a lot of this season over at 92.9 The Game. And they're part and parcel to what you've been hearing so far early in the preseason. So we'll catch up with some new friends coming up here in just a little bit. Obviously, we are going to be discussing what happened yesterday. And for those of you that missed it, we did a watch along, and Maddie Cruz on the ones and twos and we kind of navigated our way through it. And thanks to everybody who was a part of the conversation yesterday. We'll go over the bid, and we'll go over what happened, who got what, who didn't get what, and we'll lay it all out for you. But once again, Atlanta reinforces that it is definitely part of the world soccer discussion. So a very, very cool moment yesterday that's going to happen over and over and over again in 2026. And it's going to be real cool when the planetary extravaganza comes to Atlanta that will include a semifinal. So that's also very, very cool in all of that. So we'll get into that. We'll get into Atlanta United and what happened with Memphis 901 on the weekend. Probably going to save like the in-depth analysis and stuff. We'll start talking about that tomorrow just because of all of the friends that we have coming up here in just a little bit. Hour number one will be our new friends. It'll be your thoughts about what happened this past weekend, 10 o'clock, our traditional visit from Bart Keeler from the SoccerForUSPod. And I believe I'm going to have to yield some of my time to the discussion of the Grammys, which is fine because I know that that Maddie and Bart are Swifties. And apparently, from what I understand, she had to sell one of her, I think she has, like I said, I'm not the Swiftie in this. We might have to get more in-depth analysis in this in hour number two. She had to sell a private jet because it was too small. And what I mean by that is, her current boyfriend is 6'5", and it only holds folks that are 6'2", unless Mr. Kelsey needs to kind of squinch down and fit inside of a private jet. And the jet that she had apparently could not make the loop around the planet to be in Las Vegas in time because it only has, I think, a 4,750-mile run attached to it. So you had to get a bigger jet, and it had to be a little taller on the inside the fuselage. So it appears that Taylor Swift has sold a jet, and this is also to reinforce the fact that so she can make it from Japan to the Super Bowl. I don't know if we can say Super Bowl and get in trouble, but anyway, we just did. So we'll get into the Taylor Swift discussions, probably the Grammy discussions, and the bid discussions with Bart Keeler from the SoccerForUSPod at 10 o'clock. 10:30 is our traditional run of Prem and Proper, where Drew Dickinson comes in. He wanted to talk a little bit Kylian Mbappe in that situation, but Maddie will join us once again there for Prem and Proper, and we'll go over everything that happened in the Premier League this past weekend, finish with some news and notes, and see what kind of trouble we can get into to wrap up the show this morning. Although we are trying to determine whether or not the Duncan McGuire saga has finished. And, this would be something specific to what Tom Bogert, our buddy Tommy Scoops, has been diving into. But the on-again, off-again idea of Duncan McGuire and Blackburn looks like this is, we've discussed what's been going on initially. So this is, by the way, I guess this should be opening kickoff since I've kind of veered off target. But opening kickoff, once again, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. That's your QR code for those of you who are watching either on Twitch, on the YouTubes, or on the 280-character app. And once again, don't forget to use the code Soccer Down Here 15. You get 15% off your purchase. They in turn take 10%, reinvest it into youth initiatives and cool stuff that they have earmarked. Once again, our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. So, all right. So chaos involving, let's see if we can recap and do like a Cliff's Notes version of the Duncan McGuire saga. And yes, Dell, today is the man's 23rd birthday. Initially, Blackburn was interested in Duncan McGuire. They reach out to Orlando and say, hey, what about 4 plus 2.5? And so $4 million, Orlando's like, cool, plus another 2.5 in incentives. And then everything was cool. And they're like, yeah, okay, great, fine. It collapsed as he was flying over to sign the paperwork. So he's in the process of wanting to sign the contract and the paperwork, and the deal falls through for whatever reason. And the more evidence we have, it looks like it might be leaning toward Blackburn. So then they get everything squared away. They do the corny video where how about a slam dunk DUNC? And they do the corny video welcoming Duncan McGuire and all that kind of stuff. Then over the weekend, we find out that the transfer is once again on the verge of collapse. Blackburn made a clerical error with the registration and the paperwork. The club is appealing. Duncan McGuire is still there. He is still there, waiting to figure out an answer as to whether or not he'll be a Blackburnian person. They're expecting, meaning Blackburn, a verdict on the appeal of Duncan McGuire's registration error by tonight. Right now, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Greenwich Mean Time. It'll determine whether or not the deal goes through. So today is his birthday. All of this silliness and ish that Blackburn, and we talked about legitimately how Blackburn is run, I think probably the best analogy I can come up with, by like the equivalent of the Tyson family over there in England, run by a joint called Vinkies. It's the Vinkies family. And I still cannot get through the image in my head when Blackburn was going to get relegated and folks actually smuggled live chickens into Ewood Park. That's what you're getting with Blackburn. And so apparently Blackburn is still trying to figure out a clerical error. Seriously. So Duncan McGuire is still in England limbo with Blackburn. So we've got that to look forward to this morning. So we'll see what happens. Yikes. Okay. Since one of our new friends has punched all of his stoplights a little early, we're not going to complain because this is fun. And starting today, and I don't have official music, and I probably should get some or some kind of a sounder, but we're bringing in some new friends. And you might know the group from the pre and the post that happens on 92.9 The Game and for Atlanta United. And so it is time to welcome in half of that equation. It's time to go to the ATL. Abe Gordon hanging out with us this morning. Good morning, Abe.
Hey, how you doing, John? Happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me. Look forward to doing this each and every Monday. And there's going to be a ton of stuff to talk about. I'm pumped for the season. So let's get into it, brother.
All right. So I don't have a coin with me because I washed clothes over the weekend, and the great feeling that you have when you pull the jeans out of the dryer, like on a day like this, you pull the jeans out of the dryer. Don't have my wallet, don't have any cash. So I'm going to flip. You can say got two topics. Either the bid yesterday when all of the announcements came through and Kevin Hart told the world that Atlanta was going to be a part of this discussion in 26, or we can go back to Atlanta United and Memphis 901. We'll probably talk about both, but what do you want to do batting leadoff?
Yeah, let's start with the bid, man. I'm super excited about it. So let's fire away.
Go for it. So from 30,000 feet, now that you've had time and a couple of meals to kind of let this ingest, what's your initial response?
Yeah, so first off, I'm not surprised at all that they acquired a semifinal game. I knew they were ineligible for the finals, for the championship match. I kind of thought all along that there was this triumvirate of cities that were in the running for the semis and the finals. And I just felt the whole time that Atlanta was going to be getting a semifinal. I think what we've seen over the course of the last little more than half a decade and what Atlanta United has been in this city and what a soccer city this has become, it made sense that you would bring it here. A little bummed out that the U.S. men's national team is going to be the West Coast swing of things, but that does open up some interesting things for all of the group play matches. I mean, obviously we're a ways away, but I'm excited to see what cities and what teams, what countries do eventually end up in Atlanta. It's such a melting pot here in the city that whoever it is, it may feel like a home game for both teams somehow. I mean, that's how crazy I do expect the crowds to be here in Atlanta. But yeah, I mean, look, the people who were in charge had done a great job. I look forward to seeing how the grass works at the Benz and a couple of other things like that. But I mean, to have the World Cup here. And the other thing is, it's not really just the World Cup. There's so many other tournaments that are coming to the United States. Obviously, we have Copa, you have Women's World Cup, stuff like that. Atlanta's going to be front and center with all of that stuff. So it is a great time to be not just an Atlanta United fan, but a soccer fan in general here in this great city.
Yeah, with the training center on the south side, from what I understand, they're going to be training here, the U.S. men's national team, training here, and then you're going to have the send-off match. And I guess that's going to be at MBS, and that'll be the official test of the grass, and then they're going to go out west for matches 1 and 3. They're going to be at SoFi. And SoFi, I guess, decided they didn't want to invest the $300 million that Jarrah is to renovate Jarrah World and still not get a final. And then Lumen Field in Seattle is going to get the second match. So all the group stage stuff for the U.S. is going to be out on the West Coast to draw the late audience, East Coast time. Everybody's like, well, why are they going out west? And it took me about 25 seconds. I'm like, late prime time. I know how this is going to play. They're going to do late matches at SoFi and Lumen to draw that audience in an East Coast and West Coast primetime. It took me a second, but I am looking forward to seeing how this, and everybody was up in arms about, why are they going out west? TV audience, West Coast times. You want to keep that Eastern audience as long as humanly possible.
Yeah, I also wonder if that was like kind of a closed-eye handshake agreement. Like SoFi is not going to get a semifinal match, but what we will give you is a couple U.S. men's national teams. So Dallas, Atlanta, here you go. MetLife, here you go. SoFi, here kind of by default is your third place prize, the U.S. men's national team for a pair of games. So it's going to be very interesting. I lived out in L.A. for a couple of years, so they got a great soccer fan base there as well. So it's certainly going to be rocking. There's no doubt about that.
So as a kid who was born in Lakewood at Lakewood General Hospital, where were you in Lipstick City?
So I actually, so in LA, I kind of moved around a little bit. I lived like kind of by the La Brea Tar Pits my last year there. So that was a nice little area. I worked in Santa Monica, Venice Beach area. So
you were up there in the northern section of town. I'm a South Bay kid.
Yeah.
I'm Orange County, man. I'm Angels. I'm not Dodgers. I'm Angels, I'm Kings, I'm Clippers, and I'm Chargers.
No, I didn't go south of Marina Del Rey. That was kind of like my borderline right there.
Let me see if I can remember all the places where the family lived out there. They currently live. They definitely live inland. So let me see. RPV, Rancho Palos Verdes. My dad overlooked the golf course that I used to play a lot, the Muni, Los Verdes Golf Club. Chatsworth, Buena Park, Stanton, and that's just off the top of my head. So now I'm right there with you, brother. You were up there in the 213. I was down in the 714. I see how this works.
Yeah, it was fun. I liked my time out there, but I'm happy to be back here in Atlanta, where I was born, where I grew up, and where the teams that I'm a fan of reside. So yeah.
What'd you think of the Meadowlands getting the final?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are reacting in a lot of different ways. Like, obviously, the jokes about the quality of the turf are there, but let's not pretend that the finals or any of the games being led up to it are going to be playing on the same field that the Giants and Jets are on. I mean, from a physical standpoint, it's not going to be the same grass. I think we probably are going to upgrade a little bit for a couple week stretch there. It makes sense. I mean, that is like the biggest city in our country. It's kind of obviously like kind of a landmark sort of thing. So I get why Dallas was thought to be a favorite because of the stadium, but I just felt like it was more than just the qualities of what Jerry World can provide. I think ultimately it was probably the right call, but I can understand why people might be a little hesitant and even scared to an extent. That I saw a tweet. You got the world's most expensive ACLs, going going to where knees go to die. So. But I think it made sense. I mean, you can't hold a World Cup in France and not have the final in Paris. I kind of look at it to some extent in that line.
And the reports are the grass is going into MBS in February of 26. So Atlanta United will be the test case in that first half of that season. So we'll keep our fingers crossed about the laying of the turf. And you mentioned World Cups, and I thought that this was interesting. And more of the continued indictment of the District of Columbia. Washington, D.C. wasn't even a part of this discussion, wasn't even a part of the bids, didn't even make it to the finals. I mean, it's Audi Field and raccoons and everything at RFK. And you're in technological centers in the center of the business universes. But like you said, it's in France. You got to have it in Paris. D.C., nowhere to be found in any of this. And I think that's an indictment on them as well.
Yeah, I actually lived in D.C. for about 6 years, and so I know the layout of that city quite well also. And I think it's no surprise. Like, the qualities of the stadium there don't even come close to what you need for something of this event. I think they made it was good for them to get away from RFK, but FedEx Field, RFK, even Audi Stadium, either they're too small or they're not a good enough quality of a facility. So
and they're falling down on top of you, and the sight lines are bad.
The only redeeming facility out there to an extent is Nationals Park, and even that they screwed up quite to a major level. But it's weird because of what DC is just in terms of the meaning of this country, but in terms of a soccer base, in terms of the facilities, they weren't even close. I mean, they were. And forget the other aspects of trying to move around that city, stuff like that. It's going to be much easier to move around here in Atlanta than it would be up there.
Oh, and from your lips to everyone's ears about improving public transportation and everything getting into 26. Before you go, and this will be the time slot that you and Garrett Chapman will be crashing the party every Monday from like 9:15 to 9:30-ish, somewhere in there. Atlanta United, Memphis 901 was up in Athens. It was a full house of 4,500. And once again, now that you've had a little bit of another extra day to kind of sit there and ingest what happened, other than everybody came out fairly healthy, as far as we know, takeaways from Atlanta United's second preseason match.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed the most important part of this, which is everyone will be heading into the third preseason match, and then hopefully the fourth, the fifth, and then eventually into the season opener. I think it was nice to see Bartosz Lich get out there just a little bit. Obviously, his first match after clearing up some of the delays with his visa. But you did concede early. And obviously, it was nice, unlike last season where you would normally, it felt like you always had a lead that you then gave up. It kind of flipped on you in this scenario. And so you had to fight back in the second half. I mean, they put in a full 45 before they were able to find one. And so it was nice to see them stay engaged and get after it. That being said, there was some sloppiness that needs to be cleared up. But, hey, that's why these are preseason matches. I think you got situations where guys are still figuring it out. And then the obvious is you don't have your best player right now. He's over there tearing up every other U23 in the world, or at least in South America at the moment. So it'll be nice when we do get Thiago Almada back and can welcome him back into the flow. But, man, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of things that I'm seeing that have me excited. And not even like just right now, like going back to the match against Birmingham Legion, like Ashton Gordon flashes a couple times in this match, the first one, and then he signs the contract. And it's not going to impact the team this year, but like the idea that you have that moving forward gets me excited. And then obviously, bringing back what I think is a team that is primed for a top 4 spot. I'm really optimistic about the season this year. I just think a lot of things are lining up in their favor based on how they finished the year last year. And then the other interesting thing here, John, is you don't get this much often in soccer or really any other sport, but like a true positional battle with the goalies there, with Goose and with Cohen. And I don't know if the team has a preference either. I don't know how much the fan bases have a preference. It's odd to see like a legitimate equal footing battle play itself out. And obviously, Cohen gives up the one early. I don't think there was much anyone could do about that, him or Goose. Couldn't have mattered who was in there. But it's going to be interesting to follow that throughout the preseason. And that's got me excited because you don't really get one that is a literal toss-up coin flip going in. So to have that is really got me invested in these preseason, especially as they head down to Tampa for a trio of matches.
No doubt. And you've got the matches in Tampa the 7th and the 10th before the one behind closed doors in Fort Lauderdale against Sporting Kansas City to wrap things up. But to your point about what's going on between the sticks, because of all of these competitions that you're going to be in, Leagues Cup, you're going to be in Open Cup, you're going to be in regular season. In a perfect world, you're talking, 34? I mean, you're talking north of 40 matches. And so, if you get playoffs and all that kind of stuff, you're looking 45, 50 matches down the line. You need to have a 1 and a 1A. And I think Atlanta United has definitely solidified that idea just because of all the different elements of the schedule this year.
Yeah, I mean, look, Cohen was brought in to compete this year with the likelihood of starting next year. And so if Goose is able to win out this year, you play it out as it sits. And if not, if Cohen's able to outperform him over the next 2.5 weeks, then you go ahead and make that change now. And as you mentioned, I think Goose, whether he's playing or not, is an incredible value to this team. Not just for Cohen, not just for the goalkeepers, but just across the board with his leadership, with his experience. I mean, you talk about having a backup, if that's how it plays itself out, with that knowledge base, with the familiarity across the league for a guy like Cohen, who's going to be in his first season here in the MLS, at least with Atlanta United. That is absolutely invaluable. So however it plays out, whether Goose is on the field providing value or behind the scenes providing value, Atlanta United is very, very lucky to still have that guy.
All right, cut the promo for me. And how do folks keep an eye on you on the media that is social and what you're up to at 92.9?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, at Abe Gordon. I do have an Instagram, although most of it is just like dog pics. That's Abe_Gordon. I have a husky. She's beautiful. So you can follow me there. Also on Threads, I guess. I haven't started using that, waiting for Twitter to take the full 6 foot under dive. But when it does, you can follow me on Threads as well at Abe_Gordon. And yeah, man, like every hour before kickoff and for an hour after the final whistle, you've got myself and Garrett Chapman with a pregame and postgame show for Atlanta United right here on 92.9 The Game. So you can find me there, and then just any other shows I'll be on, just hit the Twitter. I'll be posting all about it.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to you and Garrett making the kamikaze run, batting leadoff with us every Monday. Thanks for hanging out with us. Be safe, my friend, and don't ever be afraid to crash. You got something on your mind, sit there and go, yo, Nelson, I want to come in and I want to drop the hammer on something. So you've got an open door policy, my friend. We'll catch up with you next time.
I appreciate it, man. Look forward to it each and every Monday.
All right, that's Abe. And it's good to see Abe and Garrett, and that'll be fun. Like I said, we have new friends today. We add new friends to the equation. It's always fun. And to be able to sit there and trade cities and area codes with Gabe about what's going on in Southern California, I thought that was cool as well. So Abe and Garrett will be a part of our Monday extravaganza bat and leadoff, and so that'll be fun to catch up with them. And so, yes, follow Abe on the Insta, the IG, or the Gram, and you can see his pictures of his Huskies, much like me, where I'm on Threads and Blue Sky and the 280 character app and the Gram, and most of it's Cute Sports Guy outside of the 280 character app because it's at OSG Nelson on that side of things. But it's great to have Abe come in, and we'll talk for about 15 minutes or so every single Monday, him and Garrett Chapman, your pre and your post game hostesses with the mostesses with Atlanta United 92.9 The Game. All right, so that is the talk. Abe had mentioned the pre and the post and the extravaganza and everything that we got to talk about. It was interesting at Creature Comforts. And thanks to everybody who showed up for the SDH postgame show at Creature Comforts Brewing after the match in Athens on the weekend. And it was interesting. It was a straw poll, incredibly unofficial. And Dell is Team Cohen. And so I guess this will end up being the first question of the day for the day. So where are you in your goalkeeper pantheon? Where are you? Are you Gazan? Are you Cohen? Are you, are you John Burner? Are you Quentin Westbrook? I mean, where are you here? Are you Q? Are you Burner? Are you Cohen? Are you Gazan? What are you looking for? What's your order, your one and your two when it comes to this season? We did the straw poll at Creature Comforts. It was by applause. It was louder applause for Cohen than Brad, yet with an appreciation for everything that Brad has been able to do since he's walked in the door, coming back from both the Achilles and the knee injury. So it is, that's where it was, just in that completely and totally unscientific poll. With Atlanta United, it looked like the applause was louder for Cohen than it was for Gazan, but the folks that did not applaud for Gazan made a point to sit there and say, it's not any kind of a slight, but we, completely and totally love Brad, love what he's been able to do and all that kind of stuff coming back from injuries and what have you. So right now, at least in our first unscientific poll of the season, the louder applause was for Cohen, and it would be for Cohen to start. But once again, you have a competition, and you've got multiple platforms that you're going to have to be tackling this year. And that was why I wanted to bring that up with Abe, because you need, I think, unless your goalie is a complete and total workhorse, then you're going to need a 1 and a 1A to get you through these multiple competitions, to get you through schedule compression, to get you through travel, to get you through Open Cup, to get you into Leagues Cup, and get you into playoffs and regular season and all that kind of stuff. So you're going to need a 1 and a 1A. And I think Atlanta United has put themselves in there that they have what they need going forward. So that's where we are. At least I think that's where a lot of the eyes are focused in the competition so far this year. Is that's what they're looking at with Cohen and Gazan, et cetera. So that's what you're looking at with those with that particular battle of position. So all right. So for the rest of hour number one, let me know what you think about what happened this weekend, both in 2026 and in what happened in Athens. Reminder, and I'm going to be drifting in and out with this. Remember that Maddie Cruz on the ones and twos is now an international star. Remember, promo time. Here is the scarf that has now been released alongside the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. And I thought about wearing my Marshall Islands jersey this morning, but it's too cold. This is the scarf. You might have seen it on the Marshall Islands site, and it's out, and we'll repost it on our social media as the day goes along. But once again, here's the SDH fundraiser to help out the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. Last country on the planet without a national soccer team. Now they're building one. Justin Wally, if you follow him on social media, he was over there for about 2 weeks. They had their first ever futsal cup in the country's history. And so he's been there. It's been a great source of video and pictures and all of that stuff. So that is our fundraiser to help out the Marshall Islands. It's $32 US. If you're here in the Atlanta area, Abby will get into the Abstermobile, and she will be part of the delivery to make sure that everybody gets their scarves. If you're outside the normal driving area, as Abby wants to try to take the Abstermobile and put it in the ground and have it go out on top. If you're outside the Atlanta area, you can DM us, you can Venmo, and let us know. It's 32 plus shipping, so probably like 37 by the time you're done. But once again, proceeds go to the Marshall Islands. They're trying to do some activities later in the calendar year, using it as a perpetual fundraiser. So the technical director, Lloyd Hours, and folks can come over and they can be in the Four Corners in Northwest Arkansas and start to impact the Marshallese here in the United States. So go to the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation website. They have an app on Android, and you can take a look at the scarf and you can see Maddie make her international debut, and great stuff from Liz as well with the shots that are there. All the photography that was done was top-notch, and it's on the Marshall Islands website. So pick up a scarf, help out the Marshall Islands, 32 U.S. local. Abby will take care of you and deliver it. Outside of the local, 32 and 5, so 37 in shipping, and you can DM us and let us know how you want it. And you can pick up your Marshall Islands scarf and be a part of growing something from the ground up. Very, very cool stuff there from our friends at the Marshall Islands. Other programming notes, by the way, tomorrow is the beginning of our high school schedule. We start the high school schedule off this week with 2 appearances. Tuesday night throwdown is at the Big Orange Jungle. It's a doubleheader. It is Peachtree Ridge and Parkview, and that'll be on the network for the girls' game and the boys' game. And that'll be late afternoon, 2 separate broadcasts. Once again, girls' game happens. I'll be on the call for that. Then it's a separate broadcast for the boys. Maddie will be on the call for that. It'll be great to catch up with our friends over at Parkview as they kick off their season against Peachtree Ridge. Now, Friday, we are at River Ridge, Roswell and River Ridge. Maddie will have the call on the girls' side because she got to catch up with head coach Mary Deasing for Roswell. And also we'll catch up with our friends at River Ridge by being there again. Last time we were there, it was during the playoffs against Sprayberry. So Roswell, River Ridge on Friday, that doubleheader. Doubleheader tomorrow, afternoon and evening. And it is Peachtree Ridge and Parkview, and that kicks off our high school schedule. And it is going to be a sprint through April. Games on Tuesdays and Fridays. And there might even be some specials in between, like an occasional Wednesday or Thursday game, depending on matchups, because we got some really cool matchups coming up. There's going to be Dalton, Johnson, Gainesville, McIntosh, Chamblee. Looking forward to having them on the schedule. We're going to be doing some road trips this year, going to Perry and catching up with our friends down there. Abby's got Wheeler playing Pebblebrook as a part of her schedule out of the blocks, but we're catching up with some friends. McIntosh, Dalton, Chamblee, Johnson, Gainesville, all the heavyweights, Northwest Whitfield, Gainesville. It's going to be a long march for us in a very short period of time, but it's going to be great to do the high school schedule coming up in short order starting tomorrow. So that is that's your programming notes for everything going on here at SDH. All right, so let me go to the top of the order and see what you guys thought. Once again, we're catching your comments about the bid, about the number of games, about who got what, about who went where. It's about Atlanta and Memphis 901. Like I said, we have some sound from posts that Maddie got over the weekend. We'll play that tomorrow. I caught up with Stephen Glass. We'll play all of that tomorrow just because of how absolutely crammed the show is today. Once again, Bart Keeler joining us at 10 o'clock for our Grammys discussion and about the bid and SoccerForUSPod from that perspective. And then Drew Dickinson joining Maddie for Prem and Proper, the review at 10:30. We'll get into everything that happened this past weekend. The race is on for the title. You ain't kidding. I mean, it was a crazy match, a great environment with Arsenal and Liverpool, but the race is on, and Manchester City's got 2 matches in hand on some folks. So we'll keep an eye on all of that. All right. So, Ricky, about the show that was broadcast. Sorry he missed the chance to cringe with us all. Yeah, it was pretty cringeworthy. And the funny thing is that Big FOX, they only blocked out a half an hour because then they were supposed to go to bowling. Our friends at Universo, however, had the whole hour blocked off because we knew as we were going, it's like, all right, there's no way this is going to be a half-hour show considering all the talking that you're seeing from folks not named Andres Cantor. It was Jenny Taft. It was Kim Kardashian. It was Rob Stone with Kim Kardashian out there at SoFi. And we found out that SoFi wasn't getting anything deep into the run. They were getting the U.S. games 1 and 3. And then they got some things going on, but they didn't want to build a stadium the proper way. So I don't know what they're going to do. It might be, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, kind of like a Yankee Stadium kind of deal where, oh, it's legal. Wink, wink. They might try to shoehorn it in there. You won't have a whole lot of room. They'll take out some of the private suites maybe or some of the boxes. But SoFi got exposed for not having something that could be like an actual stadium, multi-sport, kind of like another facility that we all know about. Morning, Alex. Morning, Ricky. Morning, Nix. Glad you're here. Morning, Dell. Ricky with the public service. Volunteer.fifa.com. And also Maddie has also gotten into the ticket. The ticket link apparently at FIFA.com was busted. So she went in through like individual cities to get her ticket follow figured out. So go to your individual cities and do that. Don't go through FIFA.com and figure that out. Morning, Harry. Good to have everybody here. Yes, and this, by the way, happy birthday to the Grand Exalted Poobah and program director here at SDH. It's Long Shoe's birthday. He's 29. And I could not have been happier for Jason yesterday because of everything that he has been a part of, every ounce of energy that he has ingested into the sport here in this city. To be able to sit here and say that you're going to have all of these events happen at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. You're probably going to be a part of the Club World Cup in 25. You're going to be a great part of the world coming to this hemisphere in 26. Probably going to have the Women's World Cup here in 27. The National Training Center is going to be here. You are the home of U.S. soccer. And for someone like Jason, who has invested as much as he has into the sport, for him to be able to experience a day like yesterday and anticipate that coming to this part of the world, I could not have been more pleased to have something like that happen with Jason yesterday, getting the announcement and everything. So Ricky should be just as much, if not more, discussion as the night Killer Mike had. Well, yeah, 3 Grammys, and he was taken out of the building. I said, well, that probably will come up in the discussion at the top of the hour with Drew and Maddie as we go through things. Morning, OG. Atlanta will be the best host city. And Ricky Ricardo, facts. I got to get that drop. Yes, more range, Michael. Absolutely. Ricky. He needs a comunicado oficial. His art can't take much more of the Mbappe tease. Basically, it has to do with him going to Real and apparently taking less. So Drew wanted to get into that. We'll get into that around 10:30. Morning, Joe. Glad to have you in this morning. And morning, Abby. I don't know. When it comes to these mega events, I don't know what we can say because if they're trademarked, I don't want to get us into any trouble. Because we've got a big 3.5 years coming, and I don't want to get us taken off the air. So that's why I will always say Roman numeral classic when it comes to the Super Bowl. The hemispheric and planetary extravaganzas, just so we don't get in trouble with our friends at FIFA. And how about that? How about that khaki outfit he was wearing yesterday? White dress shirt, khaki suit, matching hoodie, zip-up hoodie yesterday. So certain media outlets, they don't and can't. But the thing is, Ricky, we're on more than just Twitch, and so I don't want us to get blocked out or anything like that. Yes, Dell USA all day. We'll keep getting into that. Abby, I don't know, and it will be interesting now because it was between Dallas and Atlanta. Now that Atlanta and Dallas both have deep runs, but Dallas didn't get a final. Atlanta's ready for it. All you got to do is empty out the World Congress Center and you're good to go. I mean, VAR is in Atlanta for Major League Soccer. So it makes too much sense for the media center to be here. Our plans, I can tell you that we will be doing stuff both here and in Dallas. We have a studio space in Dallas that we will be probably getting some good work out of over the next couple of years. And for the college football side of things, that's where one of our friends is based. So we'll be here. We'll be in Dallas over the next couple of years, and we'll see what's going on. Yeah, IBC. We don't know where that's going to be. Yeah, Ricky. It was reported in the Athletic. Thank you for that. Yes, the discussion about raccoons. Kefsey about Atlanta and Memphis 901. Armas was good again, and Jamal knows how to press from the front. Yeah, I'm really impressed with Javier Armas. The super draft pick out of Oregon State, really impressed with Armas. Really, really, really impressed with Armas, especially in that second 45. Great at set pieces, great with weight, and all of those things that you would be anticipating when it comes to just being that centerpiece, being that fulcrum, and seeing him in the second 45 again showing up very, very well. It'll be interesting to see how he continues to develop with Atlanta United too. Hey, if he keeps it up, he might even be sitting on the bench a little more often than we might have originally anticipated if he keeps this up. Great to see, as Abe said, great to see Bart Sleesh, the Polish Hammer, getting his first couple of minutes. Great to see Noah Cobb at the back. Brooks Lennon was causing a lot of trouble down the right-hand side, and it was we talked about it, and for those of you that might have missed the show from Creature Comforts, it's up on the network, so I would recommend catching up with that. And you look at what we saw there, and it was really interesting that with Memphis 901 and our buddy Marlon, the Atlanta United saw something on tape. And they were going after Tyler Borzak. They were going after Noe Meza had to be pulled with a muscle injury. But they saw something down the right-hand side. They're the attacking right with chasing after Marlon, chasing after Tyler Borzak. They saw something there. Zachary Duncan, who I don't know how he stayed in the match, considering everything that he got involved in. But they saw something. Brooks Lennon was very, very active on the right-hand side. You saw Sleesh active on the right-hand side. When you saw there was a flip in the first 45 involving Saba and Shande Silva. And when they flipped Saba to the left-hand side, brought Shande Silva over to the right-hand side once again, they were seeing stuff down that attacking right, and they were getting a lot of space and a lot of room. So it was really interesting to see that develop as well when it came to what we were seeing with Atlanta United. But yeah, Brooks Lennon looked great. Gigi wasn't taking any ish. Great to see Bart Sleesh out there. Once again, great to see Noah Cobb out there working as a center back, not intimidated by his surroundings. He hasn't been ever since he started playing up against guys twice his age in USL Championship at the age of 15. And that second unit, the younger guys, continue to be impressed with that. Armas, once again, is making noise. Luke Brennan making noise. No real surprise in all of that stuff. So welcome your comments when it comes to Atlanta and Memphis. Probably we'll be discussing that. Nicholas Firmino again, but we'll hear from some of the particulars tomorrow early on in the show, considering how stacked we are, how completely and totally stacked we are with the show. And that's never a bad thing. When your show is stacked, that's never bad. Abby's going to do me a public service and get a Google sheet together when it comes to all of the fun stuff. Yeah, Glassy is doing a good job at Memphis. And no, remember, they didn't have Nico Brett as a part of their attack on Saturday. Nico Brett had the day off. So you're going to have that also. I mean, it was Emo, it was Luis Fernando, it was Atlanta United West. You had Nico Brett Nico Brett on your roster. He wasn't there. You got Oscar. We know how much of a troublemaker Oscar was at his time at Lou City. So when we get our friends from the USL show, it will be an interesting discussion. And it'll be an interesting discussion when it comes to Memphis 901 specifically. Emilio on the keepers. He said, platoon system doesn't work in regular season, at least in hockey. Back up to play 3 or 4 games is a waste. Yeah, and to your point, I mean, in playoffs, you're looking at hot keepers and things like that. But just because of, and we've seen this in competitions before, where you have the regular season guy and then you have the tournament guy. So you would have, say, your number one keeper. He'll be your regular season guy, games that matter, classify that however you want. And then your 1A, he would be the guy that's there in cups, your cup tournaments and things like that. So you would see, like, say, Manchester City. Manchester City would have Ortega and their third keeper be the guy who would be a part of their cup runs. Whereas, you have Ederson as your number one. He's your regular season guy. He's your Champions League guy. But for cups, you'd have Ortega and everybody else make your run. So that's what you're staring at, where you'd have your 1 and your 1A here domestically. Abby, I'd love a day where everybody drops in at once. When we get closer to the regular season, we'll see if we can get our buddy John Schuster in here to talk about Minnesota United. Congrats to Shuey winning the national competition the other day. And so they are national champs once again. Michael Head is Team Cohen, unless Goose has discovered the fountain of youth. Emilio, he's not more, I would disagree. Emilio says he's become more of a whiner than a leader. He's always been a leader. I've never seen whining. Abby, still not choosing, need to see more. Abby, Brad seemed more vocal on Saturday, but also sitting on that side. Unsure. Cohen was very vocal. Oh boy, he was very vocal. You could hear him. We were up we'd open the windows to the press box, and it was Tyler Pilgrim from Scarves and Spikes, and it was Maddie, and it was me, and Doug Robertson of the AJC was a little further down. We had the windows open, and you could hear him. You could hear Josh Cohen. Oh, my God, you could hear Josh Cohen. He was, how do we say, quite vocal, how we say. Let's see. Tom, don't have anything to go on yet. Impossible to pick based on actual evidence. And that's true. Like I said, this is all part of a battle. Remember, Jason is heading down to Tampa for the matches on the 7th and the 10th. And so those will be on ATLUTD.com. And we'll get more empirical evidence in games 3 and 4. And then you have all the practice sessions in between. Then as you get closer to that game in Fort Lauderdale with Sporting Kansas City, that's behind closed doors that no one will be able to see, at least in a live sense. If you're on site, you probably get to see it, but you won't be able to see it in a live sense. But that's when you're probably going to be looking at your first team from the Department of Redundancy Department. So 3 and 4, I think the 2 in Tampa, those are the ones that you're still trying to figure out, okay, who can do what where, and you'll be getting closer and closer and closer and closer to that lineup against Sporting Kansas City and Fort Lauderdale. That's the one where you're looking at, okay, this is my first choice. So a week and a half, we should have another set of answers. Abby's got Wheeler playing Pebblebrook to kick things off. Abby, she's going to make a Google sheet for deliveries. She'll put it together. So once again, that's the reminder to pick up your scarves. Purchase your scarves, help out the Marshall Islands, and you in turn will get a delivery from Abby. So there you go. Yeah, Dell, Kevin Hart was kissing up to Infantino the whole time. He was trying to say, and like I said, and I didn't have the volume up because I didn't want to get us in any kind of trouble, especially if you were going to go back and listen to it. So it was more like looking at outfits and things like that and looking at small print and all those kinds of things. But yeah, it did look like Kevin Hart was talking a lot. Jenny Taft was having to figure out, okay, how do I, continue to make this show go forward? That was the biggest thing I think for Jenny Taft, was trying to make sure that everything was going forward. And I think she did a pretty good job. Yes, Ricky Ricardo, the world's most famous soccer mom. Good God. Yes, Michael, you would have gotten more. You would have gotten more edification from us and the watch along than you would have by checking out the actual program, because literally the talking versus information was probably a good 3-1. And then you had interviews and things like that. It might have been the other one. Yes, Tom, up the Gunners. Always love to see the bastard stepchildren of Merseyside lose. Yes, because for those of you that do not know, Airborne DJ Tom Russo is an Everton fan. So anytime his blue team, because you say Blues and that gets you to Chelsea, and that's not good. But 10:30, yeah, we'll talk about what's going on there. And so Tom was very happy with what happened with Liverpool. So is Liverpool pulling an Arsenal? So we'll see. Yes. Yeah, the Kim K segment about as cringeworthy as you get. Abby wants me to call it the bowl of super, like a beer of root. So, but then I'd have to do it kind of like Vince Dooley. That's a bowl of super, absolutely super. We'll probably have to do something like that. Yes, YouTube X or whatever. Okay, I'm good. So the FIFA website is back up to X, apparently. All right. Express interest in tickets. This might be, as we're all talking about this, the more that I think about it, the more I'm really looking at this almost like, how do we phrase this? Remember, this is of people of a certain age. Bart Keeler coming up at the top of the hour. Before we had like real computers, when you had to get tickets to concerts, Ticketmaster, 404-249-6400. Tickets for the big ticket items would go on sale, and you'd have to be like right there at 10 o'clock, and 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning. Like, hey, U2's coming to town. All right, so 404-249-6400. And you gotta dial it up. You gotta sit there and you're hitting redial on your phone and trying to make sure that you can get your tickets to the U2 show in Atlanta. So basically, if you were in Atlanta, you called 404-249-6400. You'd get into Ticketmaster. You try to get into their switchboard. You try to get the tickets. But what I learned over time, when you would get tickets to Ticketmaster or through Ticketmaster, on the back of the ticket, they had 3 other markets that you could dial at the same time that were all linked to the same computers. It was Atlanta, Macon, Greenville, and Fayetteville, North Carolina. It's on the back of the ticket. It's like literally it was someone in the 404, it was someone in the 912, it was someone in the 804, and it was someone in the 919. So what I started doing is to go after all of these big tickets. What I would do is I would call Fayetteville, North Carolina, or I would call Greenville, South Carolina, to get tickets because they were all linked to the same computer. I would call those faraway places and get all of my tickets to the big ticket items at the Omni instead of calling 404-249-6400 because everybody else was doing that. So at 10 o'clock, I'm calling Fayetteville or I'm calling Greenville. I'm alternating those numbers to get tickets, and I would always get tickets to those concerts that I was getting. I'm thinking this might be the way to do it. Go to the individual bid city sites, get your information there, because God knows the entire planet is going to go to FIFA.com and they're going to try to get interest in tickets. And apparently, according to Emilio, interest in tickets, everything's back up to normal. But go to the bid cities, go to their websites, get their bolos instead of going to FIFA.com and trying to get their information. Yes, back in simpler times, Abby. Absolutely was. All with the new hotels being built within walking distance of the Benz. How about that one that's across the Home Depot backyard where like you get in prices $225? Signia or whatever it is, that new hotel. $225 to get in the door. And Dallas didn't get and Dallas also didn't get a semi because, once again, they'll have everybody there. And everybody will go, and they're going to raise the field 12 feet. And like I said, it's going to look like the Memorial Auditorium at Vanderbilt. You're going to have people below the sight lines, or you're going to have tarps, and you're going to not have as many people in the building, but you'll have, maybe 100,000. But yeah, Dallas not getting a semi, and they also don't have a whole lot of hotels nearby. So you got all that to pay attention to if you're Dallas. And also that big scoreboard, if somebody really launches into a ball, like on a goal kick or something, it's going to hit the scoreboard and bounce down like a punt. The Meadowlands, 7 miles from New York. They call it New York, New Jersey. Just call it Gotham. Makes too much sense. FIFA's cue to enter the conversation. Morning, Hutch. Bart made some nice aggressive passes. Okay. Emilia, wondering if Glassy deserves another opportunity in MLS. I think he does. Yeah. I mean, I would, frankly, Glassy should never have been let go at Aberdeen. By the way, Aberdeen, let go of Barry Robson. They're bringing in Neil Warnock at the age of 75. There was the video of Warnock going through the Aberdeen airport. Looks like they're bringing in Neil Warnock at the age of 75 to be the new interim manager at Aberdeen. Good luck with that. And there were people that were actually enthused about this. Ricky, what do we think about all these American keepers that have been doing in the Big Five leagues all these years, playing as backups? Definitely not pointless. No, not a bit. Don't know. Abby has a question about the high holidays. That's an interesting one. That is an interesting one. Same thing with Sandy Koufax and Rosh Hashanah. Absolutely. Jenny Taff asked Infantino, remember the 70 World Cup? And he said, well, that was when I was born. Ha ha. Let's see. Yeah, Tom, I know you're the original. Okay. So I don't want to get Chelsea people angry, and I don't want to get other folks angry. Okay. So I ain't going to no FIFA. I ain't going to no FIFA app. Yeah. Dell, who's got a spare room in 2026? Definitely. All right, so we'll be getting into all these other things. Once again, let everybody know what you're thinking about 26. Let everybody know what you're thinking about what happened this weekend. It is time. All right, so Bart's in. And so, I know that you wanted to discuss some things before we actually got into soccer. And I think that this would be the time to do that, to kind of kick things off for another week as we bring you in. So this means that I've got to bring Maddie into the discussion. And I'm just going to let the two of you go for a while, considering I know that the two of you are Swifties, and I felt compelled to mention that she's getting a new plane so she can make the run from Japan to Las Vegas for the Roman numeral Classic. So I'm just going to let you two go for a couple of minutes and discuss the Grammys, to discuss what she was wearing, to discuss what's going on with the relationship, to discuss the new album that dropped during the Grammys. Bart Keeler, go.
Well, good morning, John. I figured we could talk about musical artists of this century instead of God knows what you were talking about before then.
Careful there. Careful, sir. Tracy Chapman's performance was fantastic. And
Tracy Chapman was fantastic. However, I am done with. I am tired of U2 being thrust upon me unwantingly, and we need to just stop making U2 a thing in the year of our Lord 2024. But anyway, Taylor Swift,
Joni Mitchell, and Tracy Chapman were fantastic last night.
They were fantastic. Were fantastic.
Discussion.
As I'm wearing my Taylor Swift friendship bracelet right now.
There you go.
Maddie, I think we were all expecting something completely different. We all knew it was coming, that we knew we all felt. We were all reading the tea leaves. We were all reading all of the Easter eggs she usually drops for us, that we were going to get an album announcement during the Grammys. And I'm sure you and I were both on the edge of our seats waiting for Reputation Taylor's version to be announced.
Absolutely.
When she accepted her Grammy. And then we were made to be clowns somewhat again by our loving Taylor Swift.
I literally sat there when she got the award, and I literally was like, oh my God, it's coming. I was like, this is it. It's going to be Reputation Taylor's version. I have been waiting for this. I have been waiting so long for Reputation Taylor's version. It is my favorite album. I was so excited. And then she goes, so my new album, I said, girl, you're dropping new music now? Where's new Reputation? Music.
While she's also on a world tour, while she's also starting a relationship, while she's all the things.
Absolutely. Oh my God. I think I was sitting over here and I was like, thank God you were going off on Twitter because I was losing my mind. And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, wow. Wow. I was losing my mind.
It was a truly unexpected while also being fully expected. It was the most Taylor Swift thing she could have done to us.
Oh, absolutely. Also, I have a question for you. Do you think Taylor should have won Best Album of the Year? Because I personally thought it was going to go to SZA.
I mean, I'm happy Taylor Swift won Album of the Year, and I understand she did not recognize Celine Dion. Abby, sorry that she was excited about winning a Grammy. Okay, chill.
She took a photo with her afterwards.
Yes, also standing and singing when Celine Dion came out, standing and singing for every performer, standing and applauding for every performer's speech. So we're not going to do that right now. If there's one thing we're not going to do, it's going to try to rag on Taylor Swift for not supporting people, because that woman supports every woman in the industry. We're not going to do that, Abby. Sorry, not here for that.
Period.
Not going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Rich, we don't really know. Yes, it could be leftover stuff from the last album. It could be new music. It could be, we don't know. We don't know. She has lyrics already written that she put out with the announcement. So that was a teaser for all of us. It sounds a little folklorish, but we're not sure.
There were folks that were trying to break down the computer program and try to figure out the lyrics and the look at the wording inside of how the computer language was all laid out for this thing, trying to decipher what the hell was going on.
Listen, if there is one thing that I am like fully convinced of, is that in the future, if anything were to go awry, I think the Swifties, they're gonna come up and like just like do this like coding shit, and like they're gonna go crazy.
There's
the stuff that they are able to do. I'm a Swiftie, but I'm like, the stuff that they come up with, I'm like, whoa, how did you come up with that?
Whenever we hit our inevitable World War III, we'll have Swifties on decoding duty, because Lord knows they can figure out a mystery message better than anyone.
Absolutely.
See, that's what you do for your wind talkers.
Right.
You get Swifties to figure it all out.
In World War II, we had the wind talkers. In World War III, we're going to have the Swifties. So here we go.
But yeah, one of the busiest women in show business, ditching a jet to get a taller jet, so she can make the trip. I give her full credit, and anybody that does not respect her work ethic, I mean, literally, all right, so let me see if I get this right. So she creates all of her early material. Manager that she hates and like steals her stuff and like gets it and gets all the licensing and everything. Then he sells it to a hedge fund and makes like 9 figures to the left of the decimal place. She gets mad, re-records. Well, she's recorded a lot of her earlier material with Taylor's version attached to it to dilute the pool and dilute anything that was attached to this hedge fund and her old manager. And then during the Grammys and during a world tour, she comes out with new material.
You nailed it.
Yep.
I mean, that work ethic is insane.
Yes. And don't forget, she dropped 2 new albums during the COVID years.
Yeah, she's crazy.
Is insane. And I do have a question.
She's appreciating the Kansas City Chiefs and their star tight end all at the same time.
She's appreciating. I mean,
she's balancing a relationship and her work. Oh my God, who knew that was possible?
She is truly an amazing woman. And I have a question to bring this back to soccer. So if you'll allow me to, we can stop. We did 10 minutes of Taylor Swift. I know people are 7. Yes. Here's my question, John. Here's the question for the chat.
Sure.
Okay. So we just had the Grammys last night, the display of the best musical artists in this country, at least this hemisphere. We also had a musical artist on whatever the crap that show was yesterday that FIFA put on. Who is going to be making the FIFA World Cup 2026 song?
Ooh.
Whoa.
That's my question for the comments. Because I think, if I'm reading the future correctly, we're going to have Drake as part of it. I think that is.
Yeah, I think
I think we'll have an artist from each country, or we'll just have Pitbull and Shakira, and everyone will still be happy.
If it's Pitbull, I will freak out. Love him. Love Pitbull. No, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be shocked. I would not be shocked if it was Drake. But hey, listen, if Drake's doing it, that just means I want to give a big I'm sorry to Toronto to Canada for when you guys do get knocked out of the group stages because he's wearing a Toronto a Canada jersey.
Well, he doesn't need to jinx them for them to get knocked out of the group stages. That's for sure.
How about Olivia Rodrigo?
I could see that. There's a lot of calls for Bad Bunny, which I fully understand.
Oh.
My only trepidation with that would be, that could be he is Puerto Rican. And I assume that they'll try to get a Spanish-speaking artist from Mexico.
Oh, okay. That would make sense.
My shout would be Becky G.
Okay.
But I don't know if she wants to do stuff with soccer after, she was spurned and scorned by U.S. soccer player who has not been very good since that relationship ended.
You do that. That's what happened.
Yeah, talk about fumbling the bag. Carol G is a good shout, winning the Grammy last night from Colombia.
Mm-hmm.
So
right.
I do think Bad Bunny is a good shout because he is he is obviously American, but I'm assuming that they'll get a
mainstream.
I don't know how FIFA's going to do this. We'll see.
All right.
I just assume they'll have one from each country.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, you figure something like that's going to go down. All right. The watch along that we had yesterday was probably better than the program that FIFA put out. And Atlanta ends up with 5 group stage matches, one in the round of 32, one in the round of 16, and a semi to go along with Jerry World getting a semi. Your final goes to the Swamps of Jersey, goes to Gotham. Third place match is going to be going to Hard Rock, or I imagine Hard Rock because the new stadium obviously would be smaller and such. What do you think about Atlanta getting 8 matches out of the entire tournament?
Well, I think first off, and not to throw a wet blanket on anything, but I think we're forgetting that this is a 48-team World Cup.
Absolutely.
So we see 8 matches and go, wow, it's a lot. And it is a lot. But we have 5 group stage matches because there's going to be a lot of group stage matches. But I think it's really impressive that Atlanta is getting both the round of 32 and round of 16 match ahead of the semifinal. There are some stadiums that aren't getting that. Guadalajara doesn't have anything after its 4 group matches. So I think to see Atlanta getting priority in a lot of scheduling here is fantastic, on top of the semifinal, which truly does kind of, to me, show where Atlanta is, not only in the, the sphere of what great American cities can be, but also where we sit within, world soccer views. I think there's been a lot of chatter about the city of Atlanta being, quote, prepared for this. And let's be real honest, y'all. Atlanta is more prepared and better prepared than just about most of the host cities that we're going to have in this country. You're telling me Kansas City is prepared?
And considering
Houston is prepared? Dallas? How are they going to get people to Arlington, John? How? Yeah. We have everything you need. We have the world's busiest airport with a freaking train, a public transit line that goes from the airport to the stadium. What more do you want? Phoenix has, I don't know, camels or whatever you have to ride to get to the freaking Glendale. I'm not quite sure. No. How are you going to get people from Boston to Foxborough?
That's the thing. It's like literally the airport, Logan and Providence Airport are going to be very, very busy because they're the bread, with Foxborough being the meat in the sandwich. Literally, you got to travel an hour each way to get to Foxborough from either Providence or Boston.
I mean, and when you look at who got the final, obviously a lot of people expected Dallas because of the big stadium. But no, I'm not going to hedge this with an apology. Dallas, you ain't worthy of a World Cup final. What in the world does your city do that is worthy of a World Cup final? Just because you're Texas, y'all ain't that special. Y'all ain't special just because you have a little academy thing that you think produces good soccer talent. That that doesn't. You ain't done jack squat on the American soccer stage. Let alone your city is not cool. Get out of here. You thought you were gonna get that over LA and New York, New Jersey? What? what was going through that, especially, not to get political, especially with what the crap y'all are trying to pull right now with a border with another country hosting this dadgum tournament. Like, y'all need a reality check. Y'all need to welcome yourselves to the 21st century. Dallas is nowhere near the level that LA or New York, New Jersey is. And I'm sorry if you thought that Dallas was going to get that just because you had a pretty little shiny stadium that holds a lot of people. You're insane. FIFA was not going to miss an opportunity to put the final in New York or LA. I'm sorry. And let alone, it's not Dallas. It's freaking Arlington. Okay? Which, as you pointed out earlier, John, where are the hotels? How are you going to get people there? At least with the Meadowlands, you have an actual way to get to the stadium without needing a car. Is it complicated? Sure. But you can get there. And I think it is absolutely hilarious that, I mean, listen, this is an allegory for a lot of the political things going on in this world where, Texas somehow thinks that they are so important that they can do this when the reality is, no, you're not. Humble yourselves, Texas. Matthew McConaughey ain't that special.
All right. So, and the other element in this, with it being a planetary extravaganza in the summer, meaning that like it's actually in the time frame that it normally is supposed to be in June and July, and not flipped so it could be in a country that decided to shell out $11 gazillion just to make sure.
No, John, it's because of the air conditioning units that they want. That didn't work.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
they couldn't make the fake air conditioned clouds work, and that's why we had to flip. As if that was ever going to happen.
They should have just borrowed the Russian weather machine that they used during the Moscow Olympics in 1980. Then they would have been okay. I want to say 39 of the total matches are in climate-controlled surroundings. And I think that speaks on two fronts. One, the bid committee wanted, you were going to have the schedule be the normal schedule, the summer schedule. And you're in climate-controlled surroundings in SoFi, in Houston, in Dallas, in Atlanta, and so in all of those markets, you're getting you're getting climate-controlled games to where you're not having to take hydration breaks like you're looking at in AFCON, which is they're playing in 30-degree weather and matching humidity, and I mean that in centigrade, and that's not good. So
especially when you look at like quarterfinals, right? LA, Kansas City, Miami, Boston. So LA and Miami have, they have a roof, at least in Miami. That's going to help. Who knows what they might actually develop by then. But I think you're right that the bid committee looked at all the stadiums and said climate control is key. For a number of reasons. I also think that's a trend we're going to see in world soccer as we keep going. You saw what Real Madrid just did with the Bernabeu, what Barcelona is going to do with Camp Nou. I think Everton has maybe their stadium is definitely more covered than the old one.
Bramley Moore Dodge gets completed is a little more covered.
Yeah, so I think that is something that you have that in Germany with Schalke. I think this is a trend you'll see Ajax. There are PSV. There are plenty of stadiums around the world. Stadia, whatever you want to say.
I'm Latin. 2 years of Latin in high school and 2 semesters in Latin. So
Stadia around the world have figured out that the ability to close a roof is beneficial. And, obviously we're going to have some surface changes here in Atlanta, Dallas, Houston, all those. But I think the roof closing ability or the roof ability in general is just a big proponent of these particular stadiums getting some, more matches than others. Even Vancouver.
I also feel like, too, it brings the question, like, if you have those stadiums that don't have the climate control, you're having to have that stoppage time. You're having to have those breaks. And sometimes if you have like a lightning delay, that can delay the entire system of the television where it's going to go. that affects the entire broadcasting line. So I feel like this kind of eliminates that, especially going into the round 16 or the round 32, round 16, quarter, semi-final.
Right.
It kind of eliminates that entirely. That way, you know for certain, hey, it's going to be this time, this day. Nothing's going to change it. That's going to stay.
Yeah. And to Ricky, your point, yes, because SoFi is technically open, a thunderstorm will throw things off, but we're not worried about rain, which you can have a lot in the summer in the US, and maybe not in LA, but that it's in LA, yes, it's usually nice weather, but it just allows you to keep things in a controlled environment, which whether or not FIFA wants to admit it, they like.
Yep. Vancouver covered, Seattle open air, Levi's open air, SoFi covered. Guadalajara does not get anything past the group stage, obviously open air. Azteca gets round of 32, round of 16. Monterrey, fantastic venue, open air, somewhat covered, great visuals, round of 32. Houston at NRG covered, Dallas covered, Kansas City open air, they get round of 32 and quarters. Atlanta, 8 matches all the way through. Then you end up with Hard Rock, somewhat covered. BMO, they're expanding, and I thought that this was interesting. BMO in Toronto right now is 30. They're expanding it by 50% to get to 45, and they're going to do it in the end zones. It's been the long-term plan. Mm-hmm. BMO gets one game in the round of 32, and that's it. Literally, they have the 5 group stage matches, one for Canada. 2 of them are going to be in Vancouver. Once again, West Coast audiences to keep the audience kept in from the East Coast. 1 Eastern game for Canada, 4 group stage matches, 1 round of 32, and they're done. Boston, because of Robert Kraft and his elements, and his ties to soccer, gets into the quarters. Philly doesn't get out of the round of 16, and then obviously the Meadowlands gets the final.
I think the cities they chose made sense, because I do think Dallas for a semifinal makes a whole lot of sense, right? Especially if you're trying to put a game in New York after that, because Dallas to New York, Atlanta to New York are not long travel days. I thought that Atlanta was pretty much a shoo-in for a semifinal because of the rumored locations of the final, both Dallas and New York. Very easy and quick flights from Atlanta out there. So I don't think there's much wrong with the schedule other than, I kind of wish Guadalajara would have had a round of 32 or round of 16 match, but that's it. I appreciated the idea of giving each country a number of those knockout rounds, especially in the early, the 32s, because of there's just so many games. It's 16 teams or 16 matches. Oh well, Dallas gets 2 round of 32 games. You could have given one of those to Guadalajara. What do I know?
Well, and Ricky makes the point. The script writers better get this one corrected. FIFA. Philly has a game in the knockouts, round of 16 on July 4th.
Well, here's my question, and I don't like to poke holes in fun all that often, but I will. Where the U.S. is playing fully on the West Coast, and I'm sure we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
So do you really think they're going to somehow get to Philadelphia?
All right, so
that's my question, because we don't know that grid yet. We probably will after the draw happens, because they're going to figure out how to put USA, Mexico, Canada insert. They're going to try to do that because they're not dumb. Yeah. This is something that I will say they did that I liked for the Women's World Cup in 2023, where they tried to plan things out based on, after the schedule or after the draw happened.
Okay.
I know, no, Ricky, you didn't ask for logic.
All right. So Team USA, they obviously are going to be training here in this part of the planet, here at SDHHQ. They're going to get the send-off match, and then they go to the West Coast. It is, once again, the retention of the East Coast audience and having West Coast kickoff times. I get it. I understand it from an American TV perspective. Games 1 and 3 in the group stage are going to be at SoFi. Game 2, match 2, will be at Lumen in Seattle. So the U.S. men's national team trains here, gets a send-off here, goes to the West Coast for the 3 group stage matches.
Yeah, I think this is a FIFA, as much as you want to pick on them for what they did yesterday, hearing the explanation from Dr. Evil that the goal was to reduce travel make a whole lot of sense. Because if you look at what Mexico has, they play, Mexico City, Guadalajara, Mexico City. For Canada, they do Toronto, Vancouver, Vancouver. So clearly they wanted to reduce travel for teams and fans. That was a stated goal that Johnny put out yesterday. And you're seeing that. And again, they grouped things based on region. So, Western, Central, Eastern. They want to try to keep things as close as possible, which, it makes sense and will hopefully help with the competitive side of things be a little bit more equal, because you don't want the U.S. traveling from, L.A. to Philly to Dallas and then figure out where their, round of 32 game is. That is a lot of travel. So that's what I'm wondering is, if you're playing West Coast for your group matches, where's your round of 32? Is it,
do you put it
still on the West Coast? Do you
or,
go to the
or
Central?
Or do you kind of ease them closer and closer to the championship game venue? Do you have a 32, say, at Jerry World?
Right.
Then in 16, round of 16, do you bring it to Philly? Do you work them this way? Do you go Kansas City, Philly?
Right.
How do you play that? That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, and that's, I think, again, we'll figure out once we have groups set how they're going to do all of that. That's my guess.
Yeah, and so I'll think of the most logical thing, pick it up, put it off to the side, and then we'll see what happens. Tom, fired up this morning as always. Does it really matter if 3GB is still manager? You almost want them to suck in any matches between now and then, so he's gone.
No, I don't want the U.S. men's national team to suck ever. Sorry. I'm not going to root for my teams to lose. I just had to go through a season where my college football team won 9 wins with a coach that I despise.
Yes.
That despise is a hard word, because I don't know how you could have such harsh feelings about Neil Brown ever. But, I think that I do think, and I've said this on here, I've said this on Soccer for Us, like if Greg does not have a good Copa America this summer, he should be fired, because I'm sorry, you're brought back to build on what you have already created. And if there's no growth shown by the end of the summer, then I don't trust you that you're going to be ready to compete in 2026. I'm sorry. Especially with a shiny object named Jurgen Klopp out there possibly to go higher. And that's the reality that Greg needs to understand. Because right now he's been a little too blasé, to quote a famous RuPaul's Drag Race contestant, Flazé Da, about how to actually build this program. It's been static. It's been boring. And, let's be honest, he hasn't been good recently. The results haven't been good. But if he gets to the semifinals of Copa America, then it's going to be hard to say that he shouldn't stay. So and that's kind of my benchmark for him.
Okay, so all right. So basically, you have Copa America as either sachet away or
Shante, you stay.
Shante, you stay is basically what you're staring at.
Yeah, and I don't think that's a unfair benchmark, right? Copa America is the most competitive thing we're going to have before the World Cup comes, right? Miss me with Nations League, miss me with Gold Cup. Those are like the quality of what we're playing. I mean, freaking Uruguay is better than just about any CONCACAF team we're going to face outside of they are outside of maybe like Mexico's ranked higher. That's it.
Did you see the I think it was Uruguay that played Argentina recently in the Olympic qualifiers down in CONMEBOL, the street fight that they were in? It was 3-3.
Yeah, shockingly, Uruguay and Argentina have bad blood between them.
Yes, I know. I mean, it was that one. That watching that one on FS2 was absolute appointment television. That one was a fun one to watch. U17s on the women's national team side that you can also this is your public service announcement. U17s you can watch on FS2. And they've been putting up some big numbers, and they were in the U.S. squad was was in a fight with Puerto Rico yesterday, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And it was initially, I think the first 25 or 30 minutes was goalless, and then they scored off a set piece, then scored on a PK shortly thereafter. Puerto Rico didn't waste any time coming back to make it 2-1, 3-1 final for the U.S. in Group 2 over Puerto Rico in the women's U17s. And they get Canada next tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. So the U17s are in.
Yeah, and remember, this is not just, this is World Cup qualifying. It's not really, yes, it's the CONCACAF U17 Women's Championship. At the end of the day, the goal is to qualify for the World Cup, which requires you to make the final. So that's the path. And luckily, they don't have to beat Canada. A draw gets them through as the winners of the group because of goal differential. 13 goals. They're plus 15 right now in goal differential, and I'm pretty sure Canada's plus 10. I didn't do math. I didn't go to school for math, but it's been interesting to watch these girls because the Panama game, we thrashed them. Harder game against Puerto Rico, but also don't forget a lot of those Puerto Rican players born, raised, trained in the U.S. Because that's how they're building their program down there, and as they should.
15-9 right now in goal difference, by the way, USA and Canada.
There you go, yeah.
What's coming up for Soccer for USPOD? What do we need to know?
Recording tomorrow or Wednesday. We're still figuring that out. Hoping that we'll get a U.S. Women's W Gold Cup roster before then. And if not, we'll be talking about transfer window for the U.S. men's and women's teams. Obviously, some big transfers that we saw debut this weekend with Gio Reyna, but also you've got Johnny, who transferred a long time ago. You've got Emily Fox making a transfer to Arsenal and tearing it up over there in the Women's Super League. That'll be the big part of our show if the Women's Gold Cup roster isn't.
All right.
Because why would they give that to us early?
Yeah, really? So at Soccer for USPOD at Bartimus Prime 19, Shantae, you stay, Maddie, because she's coming up with Prem and Proper, the review. So, Bart, we will catch up with you next time, as we always do. And if anything else comes, we'll hit out the bat signal and hope that you're not at your place of gameful employ in the real world. And
one last thing, though, John. I know Maddie mentioned it, volunteer.fifa.com.
Mm-hmm.
You get a ton of great swag, ton of great apparel, and talking with some of the people down in Australia, New Zealand, they enjoyed very much volunteering. And obviously, with Atlanta getting 8 games, you'll probably have plenty of opportunities to volunteer, not only in the game, but also during the fan fests and everything else going on. So I would highly suggest you all register to volunteer. They're going to need the volunteers, and they should get actual soccer people volunteering for the soccer games.
Yes, they should. Sashay away, my friend. We'll catch up with you next time.
Cheers, y'all.
All right, that's Bart. And so, Maddie, we have we're waiting for Drew to find a conference room. Get this, because he's like, all the conference rooms are full. So he's right now he's trying to find a location so we can join us for Prem and Proper, the review. Messi and Friends. While we're talking about it,
oh gosh,
Messi and Friends went to Hong Kong and played it was referred to as Hong Kong team. I think it was like the B-side national team. And they won 4-1, but neither Messi nor Suarez played, and Inter Miami got booed. Messi got booed, Inter Miami got booed, but I hate to break it to folks. I mean, I don't, and apparently somebody like beheaded a cardboard cutout or something. I mean, this is like they were going off the rails about it. I hate to break it to folks, but in these situations, and we talk about it with Messi and Friends here in Major League Soccer and the traveling tour, it's assumed risk.
Yeah.
Read the headlines and look at it and go, okay, so Messi, all you have to do is watch the words of Julian Gressel post-match. And in Saudi Arabia, where it's like it was an adductor injury, and Tata Martino did apologize for not having Messi and or Suarez available in this match. But yeah, I mean, the Inter Miami gets booed in front of 40,000 in Hong Kong because Messi and Suarez because Messi doesn't play and Suarez doesn't play. So right now, The next match that they are supposed to have is supposed to be against Vissel Kobe in Japan. And, yeah, that's why you got a statement from the Hong Kong government. That is exactly why you got a statement from the Hong Kong government, Ricky. Yeah, the organizers took government money to set it up. I'm guessing that there's going to be some kind of a refund attached to it. But Vissel Kobe, the match, the whole thing was supposed to be televised and, everything was going to be laid out for us and we could watch at 3 a.m. and see what's going on with everything involved with Messi and friends. The Vissel Kobe match has been pulled off the board when it comes to being televised.
Oh.
And yeah, so right now, the Vissel Kobe match, it might just be behind closed doors and ain't nobody showing nothing. And right now it's also listed that the Newell's Old Boys match is going to be the last match of the tour. So it's like right now, this match in Japan might not be a match in Japan. So we're waiting to see officially what the official words are from Inter Miami and Messi and friends about new matches. So literally, so as of yesterday, you can get tickets for the Vissel Kobe match with Messi and friends. But the televised aspect of it at 5 a.m. on Wednesday morning, you ain't going to be able to watch it on TV. That's been pulled. So we'll see what happens. So right now, if you want to fly to Japan and go catch the Taylor Swift concert and then stay, or actually probably stay, you're going to go see the match first. You go see Messi and friends in Vissel Kobe because it's not going to be on TV. Then you can stay, go to the Taylor Swift concert, and then follow her back over here for the Roman numeral classic. So right now, the Vissel Kobe match is not going to be televised, so the Revolution will not be televised in that particular aspect. So it was,
I looked up the statement. So recently, the statement says from the government, it is regarding Messi not playing the match today. The government, as well as football fans, are extremely disappointed about the organizer's agreement. The organizer owes football fans an explanation. The SEC will make follow-up actions with the organizer according to terms and conditions, which includes reducing the amount of funding as a result of Messi not playing the match. Which, I mean, I agree with them. This is why preseason, I get the idea of preseason, to play these teams, play teams that are better. That way you can get experience. But when you're marketing it like that, and you're having these going to these places, and these fans are like, oh my God, we're gonna get to see one of the greatest of all time come to our thing, and they market it like that, and then he doesn't play along with Suarez. I'm like, I kind of get it. I understand. I'd want a refund too.
Yeah, and Ricky, and that's why Ricky's like, he thinks the match is not happening at all. Yeah, the Vissel Kobe match, maybe not. That's why it's behind closed doors right now. Ain't nobody. You can get tickets, you can see it. So my guess is that once again, the Revolution will not be televised for Inter Miami, Messi and friends, and Vissel Kobe. Let me try and see. Like I said, we'll save the Mbappe bit for when Drew finds a conference room, and we can get into Prem and Proper, the review. There was a story that came out on Yahoo's UK site, and I'm going to see if I can find it. Yeah, so, all right, so go to end. Yes, accept all cookies, whatever, fine. All right, so Newcastle United's Miguel Almiron admission after a month of transfer talk. This comes from Scott Wilson over at Yahoo UK. And the words are, Miguel Almiron has not been adversely affected by the speculation over his future over the last couple of weeks. Once again, remember, he was subject to a transfer to Al-Shabaab in the league that we neither condone nor endorse nor promote. Eddie Howe adamant he did not want to lose one of his key attacking players. Talks broke down with the Paraguayan still as a part of Newcastle. Missed the FA Cup victory with illness. Back in the squad Tuesday for the win at Aston Villa. helped set up Newcastle's third goal, eventually deflected in by Alex Moreno. Jason Tyndall, confident his state of mind has not been affected by all the talk. Tyndall, who is standing in for Eddie Howe, said, "We spoke to Miggy a couple of times last week, and anyone who has come into contact with Miggy will know what an unbelievable lad he is. He's never a second problem, trains to his maximum every single day, and every time he puts on a Newcastle shirt, you can see the level of effort he always gives to the team and the club. He's fine. To come on at Newcastle when he was probably only 50% from a physical perspective because he was really under the weather for the previous few days. So to come out and deliver the performance he did, to run as much as he did, testament to him and his character." Yeah, he, in the 77th minute, Miggy had to kind of stop, and he really had to catch his breath right now with everything that was going on, coming back from illness. So Miggy, they love him, and so Callum Wilson was asked about it. Tyndall adamant that the current squad remains as focused and as unified as ever. So exceptional group of players in the changing room, very level-headed, very professional. Just touching on Miggy and Trips, Kieran Trippier, that goes for the whole group of players. Commitment to the football club's always been there. That won't change. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Okay, so public service once again. Twitch Pitch is on full alert. Rich Ransom helping us out with Jose Roberto Nunez, the Philadelphia Union beat reporter. And he says, Jose says this: "If I got this right, organizers of the event took government money to facilitate the event, fully knowing that Messi playing was key to the money being awarded as a grant. Messi and Suarez were injured. Tata never mentioned to the organizers that they wouldn't play. Game was held without warning fans that the main reason they were there was not going to feature. David Beckham booed during the award ceremony. Tata Martino acknowledges the failure and letting folks know Messi was not going to play. Vissel Kobe Wednesday morning after embarrassing losses and a win in Hong Kong." And so Nunez says, "Yep, this preseason tour is going great, leaving a wonderful image of MLS to the rest of the world. Well done, Inter Miami." Okay, well, there are a couple of things here. It's not anybody that wants to make a blanket assessment about Major League Soccer needs to just focus specifically on what's going on. Look, as we've said before, in these situations, you end up with the possibility folks may not play. This, to me, if what Nunez is saying, organizers of the event took government money to facilitate the event, fully knowing Messi was key. So this, to me, falls on the organizers for sitting there and banking on the idea, yeah, Messi will play, because I think part of the deal in Saudi Arabia was that the appearance fee was tied to Messi playing. That's why he only played like 7 minutes at the end of the second match, just to give the cameo to fulfill the obligation of the contract in Saudi Arabia. So if the organizers in Hong Kong took government money banking on the idea that Messi will play, that's on the organizers.
And I agree with you, because I do think it is. I don't think you can plan a full spectator event based off of one person. I mean, look what happened with Atlanta when Messi was coming here. Things went skyrocketed, and then everyone found out he wasn't playing. The tickets were like originally for just standing room, were like what, like $100,
yeah.
And now they were like what, $15? Like, look, it happens there. But I also put some blame on Miami, because why, Tata, why the front office, why did no one communicate with the organizers? Hey, you had time to communicate, be like, hey, they're injured, they're not going to play, we need to rest them. And then you go from there. Why did they not say anything? That is my issue, because there has to be that two-way communication there. And also, too, I mean, let's not pretend that Miami probably wasn't marketing off the fact that, hey, they're going to have a whole bunch of stadiums there. And, if Messi doesn't play, you know what? Bygones be bygones. But I do agree that the organizers banking, because soccer's unpredictable. You'll have a player who, needs to sit out for a game because they've been going nonstop.
It's preseason for Major
Yeah,
League
it's preseason. Like, that's another issue, is this whole world tour that Miami is doing is so crazy and elaborate, where it doesn't make any sense. I'm like, it's preseason. You're trying new things. You're doing this stuff. Why are you banking on all of your star players playing so early on, getting these crazy minutes, traveling all over the world? It makes no sense.
Well, and Rich says, I have still people telling me Miami with its 4 close to 40-year-olds have more talent in their faded knees than all of MLS and will run away and win everything this year.
They will.
No. Because, I mean, first and foremost, as what we've always said here on the show, take the over. I mean, legitimately, take the over in every match involving Messi and friends this season. Legitimately. Messi and friends take the over. I don't care. They have no back line.
Like, and this is my thing, is I think people put way too much emphasis of like, oh, they have Messi, they're going to dominate. Messi's one person. Soccer is a game of 11 players on that pitch. Messi cannot run around and do what Messi does without the rest of his team backing him up with that. If he doesn't have that, they're not going to do well. And we've seen that. They've lost to what? 6-0? 6-1? Was it 6-1? 6-0? I don't remember.
When?
One of the preseason matches. I don't remember which one.
The one where they got absolutely blown out. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
You had the 4-3, and then you had the 6-1, and the second one in that series in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, he's one person. So is Suarez. Like, you have these players that are good. I'm not saying they're not good. They're great. But soccer is a game of 11 players.
They're north of 30 on their bad knees.
Like, soccer is a game of 11 players. You cannot play soccer with 2 people. Like, the fact that they're spending so much time on this of those 3 players and not focusing any of their back line, I'm sorry, they're not going to have a well-formed team going into the MLS season, and they're going to realize it, and it's going to be too late for them to change anything.
Yeah. To Alex's point, we have no idea whether Miami communicated with the event organizers. Maybe they did, and the organizers chose not to disclose to the fans. Yes, Tata did allude to it in the post-match presser, but once again, we don't know what we don't know when it comes to these conversations behind the scenes. Tata alluded to, not letting the folks know ahead of time. And then, like I said, that was part of his post-match press conference, but we don't know any of the inner workings in between the time that they were in the air from Saudi Arabia to the point where they arrived in Hong Kong. We don't know if they practiced in Hong Kong, what notice might have been. We don't know anything about that. Tata, though, did allude to it, and he did apologize in his post-match press conference. But yeah, Michael, I mean, Michael had the point is that the point that's the point. The tour is absurd. Well, but that's the thing. It is about marketing Messi and friends internationally, and Major League Soccer is along, trying to grab the comet by the tail here. When you have Messi and Suarez and Busquets and Jordi Alba, and that's what you say, hey, let's do a barnstorming tour to expand the brand of Messi and friends. That is exactly what this is all about. I would love to know from a marketing perspective what the merchandise sales have been like. So that to me, it's all about the expansion of the brand of Messi and friends. Like legitimately, and Rich, once again, not keeping in mind, our resident Philadelphia Union fan, for those that are new to the show. Not keeping in mind, Messi will miss months with Argentina. Suarez and Busquets have no knees, and Alba's useless without Messi. But hey, all of MLS sucks because these 4 are so great. Miami spends money when other teams don't. The thing about Messi and friends, they have no back line. Drake Callender will be, literally, Drake Callender is going to be a guy who's going to be trying to stop leaks in the wall all season long. He's going to be trying to find any free finger on those gloved hands of his, and he's going to try to sit there and put a finger in the wall to keep the water from coming out. They have no back line. They got rid of Kamal Miller. They sent Kamal Miller to the West. They sent Chris McVeigh to D.C. for AM. They have DeAndre yet. Look. The back line includes Sergei Krivtsov, DeAndre Yedlin, and some guy named Gressel. If they do a 5-3-2, if they put 5 at the back to try to help things out offensively, and Gressel's a wing back up the right. Gressel is a defensive liability. DeAndre Yedlin's heart will explode from all the running that he's going to have to do this season. Sergei Krivtsov at the back. I think Avalos will be a part of the discussion at the back. Literally, what you got to see in Saudi Arabia, You get it over the top. Noah Allen is going to have to sit there and try and chase folks down. It was supposed to be Benjamin Kremoski who's going to be there helping out to, Messi and the midfield going back and forth defensively. Kremoski's out with a sports hernia. It looks like it's going to have to be Noah Allen doing the young man run duty. Morning forecast. Not a slow morning at all. Not a slow morning at all. And we've been discussing the 2026 bids. We've been discussing all the other things that are like, kind of hanging out, talking about Atlanta, talking about Atlanta United and Memphis. We'll do a little bit more of that in the A block tomorrow morning, where we'll catch up with some of the sound from both Stephen Glass and from some of the players. We'll do that tomorrow morning. But we're waiting on Drew Dickinson to find a conference room so he can come in, and we'll do Prem and Proper the review. But right now we're talking about Messi and friends in Hong Kong and people booing and all that kind of stuff. So Dell's back after his meeting. But, Messi and friends are going to have problems at the back. So literally over the top, Noah Allen's going to have to try to sit there and chase and try to catch defenders looking back over his shoulder. Take the over every single time. Miami, for me, is not going to win the East. Schedule compression means that folks won't play. Multiple competition means that folks won't play. Bottom line, they're not the best team in the East.
No, not by long.
No, Dell with the major question, by the way.
No, I have not, Dell. I have not received it.
She has not gotten her Lady Electric kit yet.
Y'all, I swear. Every single time it's mentioned, I'm gonna clip like a compilation of everything and I'm gonna post it. Mm-hmm. And I'm just gonna keep tagging Birmingham Legion and Jay Heaps and be like, please.
Please. Y'all, please.
Please.
Y'all, please. She needs her Lady Electric kit.
Yeah, I want it so bad.
Yes. You ain't the only one. 4-card newsflash. Defense wins championships. Yeah, and Inter Miami doesn't have it. Messi and friends does not have a back line. Nope. They do not. They are going to Drake Callender is going to need extra padding inside his uniform from all the shots he's going to be taking this year. I mean, legitimately. He's going to have to look like the Michelin Man from all the shots and bruises he's going to be taking. But that's the thing. Rich, could Miami get it straight by the playoffs, give him that aspect. But remember, with the playoffs, you're going to be in schedule compression again, unless Apple TV and the partners sit there and space things out and go, weekend. If it's midweek weekend for that game 3, then once again, you're dealing with players that will have had schedule compression to deal. Is Robbie Robinson still with Inter Miami? I'm efforting that. But, I mean, it's just everybody is looking at Inter Miami and going, yeah, you guys, look, they're top heavy. They are top heavy. They are front loaded, and they ain't stopping no one.
Nope.
They ain't stopping nobody. And so that's what you're staring at. And right now there are teams. Look, Rich, let me pose this to Rich. Since, Rich, you're here. Is your Philadelphia Union going to be intimidated one bit when Messi and friends come to Chester? Are you guys going to sit there and cower in fear in a corner and go, oh, my God, it's Messi and Alba and Suarez? Look, Luis Suarez has to, not do something for 2 days because his knees are so bad. He literally has to take 2 days off and try to warm the engine back up by day number 3 to be ready for a match in a weekend. Schedule compression is going to affect Luis Suarez probably more, if not, than anybody else on that roster. You're gonna sit Messi. But I mean, Emilio says we've been top heavy the last 3 years. But at least there are folks at the back. Inter Miami, Messi and friends do not have people at the back. They literally are trading them all away. Atlanta United at least has folks at the back to defend. Rich's Philadelphia Union are not going to cower in a corner when Messi and friends come to town. They're going to play their game. They're going to hip check. They're going to sit there and knock them off their pins. And that kind of physicality, they're not going to be intimidated by this stuff.
If anything, I feel like they would want it more. They would like do more, if anything.
Oh, absolutely. So, and Rich, with the schedule update, first game is at DRVP&K in April, maybe. They got starstruck the last time. Game in Chester is 5 days before Copa America, so maybe not then. But that's the thing. I don't think Houston was the absolute example of this. Messi and Suarez will be with their national teams at that point because of Copa.
But that also begs the question of if they're gone for national team, who's stepping up?
Mm-hmm. You're going to get a lot.
Who do they have?
You're going to get a lot of folks attached to Messi and Friends 2 that are going to be getting minutes.
Oh, absolutely.
And you'll be able to hear about Messi and Friends 2 here on the network when it comes to life in MLS Next Pro. Yeah, well, actually, Harvey is trialing. He is trialing out with his dad in Portland. Neville's not even there. Neville is not even there anymore. All right, so the question was about Robbie Robinson. Let me see if I can. Yes, he is still under contract one more year. But, this is what you're looking at this is what you're looking at for Messi and Friends. You've got some U22s. Azcona's a U22. Felipe Valencia is a U22. Corentin Jean is injured. You've got Luis Suarez, Jordi Alba, Krivtsov is injured, Jean Mota at center mid, Robert Taylor, who scored in the Hong Kong match, Nicola Frere, injured, Franco Negri, injured, Robbie Robinson, CJ Dos Santos, backup keeper, Harvey Neville, he's trialing out west with his dad. Schneider Borgelin is backup number 10. Ryan Saylor, Ian Frey, center back, injured. Noah Allen, his heart's going to explode at the age of 19. Lawson Sunderland got minutes in the match in Hong Kong. We saw him last season with Messi and Friends too. Another keeper in Cole Jensen. Messi, Busquets, DeAndre Yedlin, Gregory, who's going to have to be relied on a lot. Emerson Rodriguez, Calendar, David Ruiz, he's going to be relied on a lot at the age of 19. Kromoski, injured sports hernia. Gressel, Farias, out for the year. Diego Gomez, Israel Boatwright, Avilas at center back. He's going to get starts and minutes. Leo Campagna is going to be getting starts. Tyler Hall and Santiago Morales. That's what you're looking at for Inter Miami, guys. That is Inter Miami right now. That is Messi and Friends. That is Messi and Friends. Michael Head hopes that Messi and Friends fall on their face this year. We will not know until the games are played. Remember, Atlanta was, I think they got intimidated too. Starstruck a little bit. One more goal than they did and won the Atlanta United and all that, the goals last season, all that kind of stuff. Is Romeo Beckham still there? That's a good question. It might be. Well, and four card, there'll be times where it won't even be the kids, or it won't even be Messi. It'll just be the kids because of international duty. That's what you're staring at, Romeo Beckham. Let me see where Romeo Beckham is. I thought Romeo Beckham went back overseas. He's following in his dad's footsteps. I think, Brentford. Yeah, he's at Brentford right now. He's at Brentford B. He's on loan. Romeo Beckham is at Brentford B right now. So he's a B's B. So that's what, absolutely. All right. So 7 minutes to go. And we have yet to talk about the Premier League. So let's talk about the Premier League before we go. Let's get into Prem and Proper, the review. So from 30,000 feet from the weekend, what stuck in your mind?
Ooh, on Saturday, wasn't able to watch a lot of it, obviously, because we were up in Athens doing all that stuff. But looking at, obviously, unfortunately, Newcastle, Listen. I they tied 4-4. That's all you need to know.
Uh-huh.
But looking at it, probably the standout for me is Arsenal and Liverpool, 110%. That going into it, I knew it was going to be a good match just because you have the number 1 and the number 3. But it was an interesting game to watch, and that is very true. Yeah, Chelsea is awful. We're just gonna set that record straight. Chelsea was bad.
Oh yeah, Alex, Newcastle and Luton. That was on the good stuff. Newcastle and Luton was absolutely on the good stuff. That match was wacky on the junk.
Oh, absolutely. It was crazy. I I think when I was in the car driving to Athens, I have it set so I get like notifications and it goes through. And so, I'm watching and, everything's all great. And I see that we score in the 7th minute. So I go, oh my God, this is amazing. We scored. We're in the lead. And then they score. And then we score again. And then they score.
Yeah.
Then
it was
back to us.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God.
Yep.
And then it just kept going back and forth.
And they told 2 friends and so on and so on. It was 4-2. You came back to tie it at 4. Yes. Ricky says Villa was taking out the trash. Sheffield United is not a very good team. And they're in serious trouble. And, they've only won, I think, 2 of their first 22. And odds are, that when I was looking at things and we all looked at things at the beginning of the season, who's going to get relegated, I had Sheffield United, Burnley in a third. And so at least Burnley's putting up a fight, but they would under Vincent Kompany, got a good point earned against Fulham in a 2-2 draw. Villa shut out Sheffield United 5-0. It was over. I think it was 4-0 at the break. Wasn't even that competitive. Brighton put up 4 on Crystal Palace. Everybody's looking at Roy Hodgson again. Everybody knows that Steve Cooper is kind of hanging out, waiting for that to happen. Everton and Spurs had a bit of nuts attached to it, but Richarlison scoring twice. That was big. Bournemouth and Forest. Gio Reyna makes his debut for Nottingham Forest thanks to his agent Jorge Mendes and the owner Evangelinas Marinakis. So Gio Reyna is now giving folks a reason to watch Nottingham Forest for the remainder of the year.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, it also begs the question, too, of like the goalkeeper situation going up on there. That whole situation is crazy. Because, I mean, they gave up a goal within the first 5 minutes. Yeah. His Turner's replacement comes in and gives up a goal like that. If you're at Turner, you're kind of like, okay, well, listen, it's not just me.
It's like, hey, bruh, welcome to the Premier League.
Literally, that's interesting. And then that game was a lot of fun. I watched that one in the morning from Athens. I was still with family and we were watching it. And it was crazy. I liked it. I got to see him come on. I'm excited to see what Gio can do up there. It'll be interesting to see how he kind of fits into everything going on over there. Because I was kind of confused where he would fit in kind of in that aspect, but I think he's going to bring a good amount of support that Nottingham does need.
Wherever Jorge Mendes says he's going to fit in is where he's going to fit in.
He's going to fit in. He's going to make it work. I will say, I didn't know if there was there was a red card shown for Bournemouth. I watched that. It was a very clear red card. I watched the replay back and he went in studs up. You just can't do that. The ref was right there too.
Yeah, you can't stomp on a dude's Achilles like that.
No, you can't do that. That's just something you can't do. Because originally I saw it and I didn't see the replay. All I saw was he went down and then red card. And I was like, whoa. Mm-hmm. And then they showed the replay and it also didn't help that the ref was literally right there. Yeah. Saw the entire thing. So obviously red card.
Wolves punched out Chelsea 4-2, and apparently now Thiago Silva's wife is calling for a managerial change. She's calling for Pochettino to be out. Manchester United drew as well. I mean, it's player's wife. Manchester United beats West Ham 3-0, and the on-off love-hatred of David Moyes continues there. And then Arsenal 3-1 on Liverpool. Today, it is Manchester City and Brentford at the G-Tech. And in that one, obviously, the juice boxes are very, stunted into City's favor. And I know that Dell and I get into conversations about fantasy. Dell posted a video of Gio coming in on the 280-character app, and they blocked his account. Manchester City at the G-Tech is a -278. Brentford's a +727 in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal. And the draw option is a +451. Right now, with the chaos up top, Liverpool is at 51 points. Arsenal second at 49. Manchester City, 2 matches in hand, is at 46. So if they take care of business today, they'll be second on goal difference. Aston Villa fourth at 46 points. And Spurs close out group number 1 at 44 points there in 5th. Group number 2 starts at Manchester United in 6th. And that carries it all the way down past Chelsea, who's at 31 points in 11th. Group 3, Bournemouth and Fulham, 27, 26 points. But then the fun starts. Crystal Palace at 24. Brentford has lost 7 of 8. They are at 22. Forest at 21. Luton at 20, out of the relegation zone. Everton at 19. Burnley at 13. Sheffield United's won 2 of 23, and they are at minus 40 in goal difference. They've given up 59 goals in 23 matches. They've only scored 19. They only have 1 point in their last 5. So your Monday Night Football at 3 o'clock local time, 8 o'clock over there, is Brentford and Manchester City. The fantasy question for Dell, for those of us that play fantasy, and yes, we are going to have to start the league next year. Yes, Kieran Trippier was on my bench. So getting his points is going to be determined by a combination of either Haaland, Julian Alvarez, or Phil Foden not starting or playing. So, Ollie Watkins had him, had Gordon, Bowen, Louise, but then my back line was White, Zinchenko, and Virgil, and that didn't get me anywhere. Bernd Leno was my keeper, and so I got virtually no points from anyone. And, I've captained Haaland. I have Foden, and I have Alvarez. I do not have Ivan Toney today. So that is that's how things look there. What to watch and where to watch it before we get out of here. And maybe Drew will have found a conference room by next week. And we'll see what's going on with Drew. But we know that he's very, very happy with what happened with Manchester United. The soccer on the tube today. Games in the Premier League, Serie A, etc. Okay, so the U17 Women's Championship, CONCACAF, Costa Rica, El Salvador, FS2, 1 o'clock. Brentford, Manchester City is on USA at 3. Deportes, ESPN Deportes, Rayo Vallecano, Sevilla at 3. Goal TV, Peñarol, Boston River at 6:30 on Uruguayan Cup. Universo is your simulcast for Brentford, Manchester City. On the ESPN Plus, La Liga simulcast. Fox Soccer Plus, 4 o'clock, Mexico and Haiti in the U17s. It is Golazo Network, Roma and Cagliari at 2:45. And Paramount Plus has 5 matches in the Argentine Copa de la Liga. Doubleheader at 3, 1 at 5:15, doubleheader at 7:30. Lanús is on at 3 o'clock. Union Santa Fe San Lorenzo at 3. Tigre Boca Juniors at 5:15. Bonfield is on at 7:30. Racing Club and Estudiantes at 7:30. Serie A, Roma and Cagliari is at 2:45. Question before we go from Ricky. Is this the final chapter of the Mbappe saga? I wouldn't bet on it, but I hope so. I think the answer is, of course, Ricky, it is not the final chapter. Everything with any megastar is always going to be a saga. So it looks like Real Madrid. It looks like for less money, but it looks like he's still leaving, Maddie.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's going to be over anytime soon. But it's going to be interesting to see where everything falls.
And I want to know what the price point is. That's what I'm staring at here. Decides to join Real Madrid after the contract expires. He's going to be on the move this summer. La Parisienne, 4-letter, unnamed sources. He's been linked there over the last couple of years. According to the 4-letter, he has not informed PSG or Real Madrid of the decision, but is expected to make an announcement this week. Of course, this week might end up being next week. But he said, remember, he would not renew his contract at PSG, so he's going to leave on a free, and so now he's inside the 6-month window and can sign a pre-contract with anybody he damn well wants. And so PSG ain't getting nothing on the deal other than getting a big contract off the books. Exactly. Dell, an unnamed Premier League football has checked into rehab for laughing gas addiction. A player or an actual football?
Wait,
are we missing a word here? But Dell, is this also on the 3 or the 4-letter paper? That's my big question here. Footballer. Thank you. Unnamed Premier League footballer is checked into rehab for a laughing mirror. Okay, that's close. That's not too bad. So we'll keep an eye on that. Laughing gas addiction? Okay.
What? That's so strange.
That is very, very strange. Aberdeen have appointed Neil Warnock as interim manager. Yikes. Unbelievable. Once again, reminder. A couple of different things to remind you of. Maddie is an international superstar. And so here's where you can pick up. That's the scarf. You can pick it up at the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation website, and the photos were done by Maddie and Liz. They did a fantastic job, and so they're now both international superstars helping out with the fundraising efforts with the Marshall Islands. You want to DM us directly, it's 32. Abby will help out with shipping and handling. If you're outside the footprint and too far for Abby to drive in the Abstermobile, then we'll ship it to you. Probably another $5. So 32 and 5 for shipping. And let us know, once again, the money goes to help the Marshall Islands. They're building their program from scratch. We've had Lloyd Hours on. We've had Justin Wally on. All of the build that has been going on with the Marshall Islands, and they're looking to come over here to start some things and have some tryouts and clinics and stuff in October in Northwest Arkansas. It's about a 10-hour drive from OSGHQ. So we'll keep an eye on what's going on there. But this is the scarf. Go to the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation website and check it out. Be good, Ricky. Thanks as always. 32 plus shipping, unless you're local, and then it's 32, and we'll handle the driving. Well, leave the driving to us. And so that's what it is. So now this was a fun project, and major kudos to Maddie and Liz for doing the photos on the website. Those photos, that's Maddie and Liz, and the story is from Nick, and great stuff from our friends at the Marshall Islands. We're looking to catch up with them in short order to discuss what's going on, and hopefully you can be a part of the growth of the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation as well. NYC has acquired defender Strahinja Stanasijevic from FC Spartak Subotica in Serbia. So God bless you for figuring that one out. So that's the other news to go before we go. We'll be back at it again at 9:05 tomorrow morning to discuss stuff. Stay dry. It's kind of ugly and gray and nasty out there, kind of cold. So if you stay inside, just stay inside, get warm, and enjoy the day. Maddie, last thoughts before we go.
Ooh, it was a fun weekend. I'm excited to, kick off the week on a good note. Excited to kick off our high school schedule. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to do that, especially for that first game. Cool little story there. I'll leave it with that. Cool little story. My grandpa was the voice of Parkview Panther soccer until 2003, and he unfortunately passed away 2 years ago. But it's kind of full circle, getting the chance to go back there, call that game, and kind of the same booth that he was in. So very excited for that. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, Peachtree Ridge and Parkview tomorrow. The doubleheader is going to be on the network. Maddie is going to call the boys game. I'll call the girls game. We'll have all of your stills on social media. You can follow along on the app and on the web at soccerdownhere.net. We'll talk about that more tomorrow. And we're still building out our schedule and looking forward to catching up with a lot of folks. So cast 1,000. So let's see, for Abe Gordon, and we get to start that relationship with Abe and Garrett at 92.9 The Game. Every Monday, they're batting leadoff after opening kickoff. They're going to come on and talk about Atlanta United, anything on their mind. So Abe Gordon, Garrett Chapman, thanks to Abe for coming by this morning. Thanks to Bart, as always, for dropping by in hour number 2 to talk to Swifties and discuss things having to do with the national team and the bid. And Maddie, as always, Maddie Cruz on the ones and twos. Maddie, thanks for hanging out with us once again. We'll be back at it again tomorrow. What she said. Exactly. She's look, she's at a loss for words. Every single thing that she has said her piece, and she didn't have anything else to say. So, mucha plati,
No.
I'll play it safe. It's the end of the show, so that means we get to do this. Back at it again, 9:05 tomorrow morning. Bye.